Now I know what you're thinking, abstract strategy is possibly the least appealing name for a group of games outside the bus simulator franchise. There's going to be a 6th one coming out, guys. Do you reckon that one will let you drive the buses too? In short, abstract strategy games are everywhere. You definitely played one: chess, checkers, Connect 4, Go, Othello, backgammon, all the lads. It's the most historically significant group of games for sure, hence why we're doing a list of them. But before we begin, what are they? They're normally board games without a theme, story, or setting. They involve moving shapes around a set board for purposes of attacking, blocking, patterns, or combo, and they're normally for 2 players. As such, a whole bunch of games from our terrific 2-player games list could have made it on this: Patchwork, Hive, Onitama, Santorini, but we'd rather not repeat ourselves if we don't have to. Saying that so you know we haven't forgotten those games. Get off our back, everybody. Get off, stay off. Please subscribe, love you. This is a collection starter, and here are our top 10 abstract strategy games. Number 10, The Duke. This game is basically a cross between chess and a Royal Rumble, and for anyone watching who isn't a fan of pro wrestling, let me translate. It's a cross between chess and a really good thing. In the Duke, only a few pieces start on the board, but gradually more and more arrive, creating a chaotic jumble of eliminations and threats all over the shop. Each player has a Duke, who's basically their king, and in order to win, you just have to get one of your pieces to capture your opponent's Duke. To do that, you'll be making a choice each turn. Do I move a current piece, or do I bring a new playing piece onto the board? Randomly drawing from this little bag of medieval fighters, just waiting for their turn to be chosen like the aliens from Toy Story. Each piece has different rules to move, jump, defend, range attack, so there's already a bunch of stuff to keep track of. But also, once any piece moves, it's flipped over, giving it a brand new rule to move, jump, defend, range attack. It's Spinning Plates the musical, and a hugely replayable puzzler for those looking to add a bit of spice to their chess. Number 9. Couldn't resist. Number 9, or number 9, I suppose, is Tetris Gym, but not as we know it. It's also insanely easy to teach, so an excellent game for parents to introduce to their kids. I'll explain the entirety of the rules now. Every turn a card is played to reveal a number. Everyone takes one of those number pieces and puts it in front of them. Like Tetris, their goal is to fit these numbers together, but unlike Tetris, they're trying to make a platform they can build other pieces on top of without there being any gaps underneath. Everything on the bottom level is worth no points. Everything on the first level up is worth 1 times whatever number you're playing. On the second level up, it's worth 2 times whatever number, and so on. And when all the cards are played, you add up points. Done. It's the whole game. It's also brilliant. Everyone gets the same pieces at the same time. Totally level playing field, but everyone's structure will be different, and those smart choices or terrible blunders can just get worse and worse, or better and better. And it's such a light, quick, addictive little puzzle you'll want to keep playing forever. Number 8, Control. Has the board game industry and vowels had a falling out? Control, or Control, I guess, is a very new, very pretty game, kindly provided to us by our pals at Pandasaurus Games. It's a 3D area control perspective puzzle game, hell yes, get excited, where every player is a colour and on their turn connects 3 of their coloured blocks in a line somewhere on this adorable Borg cube. At the end of their turn, they place an adorable flag, which blocks their opponents from placing cubes in certain places. So far, so good-natured jostling, climbing over each other to build something that looks like a murder weapon in a Pixar movie. What really makes Control a clever girl is the scoring system at the end. Once everyone's pieces are used up and the delightful monstrosity is finished, you look at it from 5 different directions, basically looking at every side apart from underneath, and count the pieces of each colour that you can see, which means you have to try and block your opponent's pieces from view in 5 different damn directions. Just the right amount of simple and thought crunchy. And to be clear, do not eat these pieces. You want to, don't though. Number 7, Pentago. No elitism here. Connect 4 is great. It's easy enough to explain in a single breath, but also has enough of a learning curve to be super addictive. However, if Connect 4 is a little too simple for you and you're looking for more of a challenge for your very big brain, Pentago is the game for you. Like Connect 4, you're adding a token to the board every turn, trying to connect your pieces horizontally, vertically, or diagonally, but you're trying to connect 5 of them, so it's already one better than Connect 4, because 5 is more than 4. That's how numbers work. But the gimmick that makes Pentago play so well is that after you place a token token in one of the board's 4 quarter sections, you take any section of the board and twist it 90 degrees, meaning that while Connect 4 can occasionally make your victory or defeat seem inevitable a few turns ahead, it's possible to completely blindside your opponent with a hidden row of 5 before twisting it into existence with the flourish of a Victorian magician. The prestige! Better than Connect 4 in almost every conceivable way, whilst also being as easy to teach. If you're a fan of that classic game, replace it with Pentago today. Number 6, Tack. So the story behind this game is pretty fun. There's a series of fantasy novels by Patrick Rothfuss called The King Killer Chronicle, the last book of which hasn't come out in a decade. It's a whole Winds of Winter situation. But in one of the books, the main character casually mentions playing a board game called Tack, and the company thought, why not? Made the game, and it's also brilliant. It's a 2-player game where in order to win, you simply have to build a pathway of your pieces from one side of the board to the opposite side. You can stack pieces on top of each other, move columns of pieces, dropping stones as you go, put pieces on their edge, which stops your opponent from building on top of it, but that also doesn't count as part of your pathway. You can flatten pieces that are on their edge with a special piece called a capstone. It's a tight, tense little beauty with loads of avenues for victory. Something for King Killer Chronicle fans to while away the time waiting for Doors of Stone to come out. Spoiler, it never will. Number 5, Sagrada. Some people might argue that Sagrada doesn't count as an abstract strategy game because it's technically got a theme where you're stained glass makers trying to make a window, but also A, that theme could be lifted straight out without affecting the mechanics at all, and B, shut up you big crayon. Sagrada, which is Spanish for Sagrada, sees you taking dice. I know it's Spanish for sacred, let me have my fun, and placing those dice in this little grid with restrictions on where you can place dice, maybe by color, maybe by value, or maybe by having to avoid putting dice of the same color or value next to each other. Players have a number of public objectives they can complete for more points, as well as a private objective with points being worked out at the end. It is a stunning looking game. Could easily have fit on our 10 most beautiful games list, as well as being really enjoyable and occasionally a very mean puzzle to solve, with players snaffling dice that their opponents might desperately need. In a subgenre of gaming that can occasionally look a little bare bones, Sagrada is a splash of vibrancy and color and a buttload of fun. Number 4, Blokus. Another bright and cheerful game for the whole family to enjoy. Blokus is, like many great abstract games, incredibly simple to explain, but easy enough to mess up so that you always want just one more go to get it right this time. It's another Tetris-style game, placing pieces that look like this, but while Tetris is about trying to get these pieces as close to each other as possible, Blokus believes very strongly in social distancing. Starting from your corner, you can only play a piece if it touches another piece of your color, but at the corners only. If any part of the piece you're trying to play shares a flat edge with another piece of your color, that is an illegal move and you'll be put in prison, or you'll have to play a different piece, one of those. You can, however, share flat edges with your opponent's pieces, which means the board quickly fills up with colors veering wildly into each other's territories, trying to block each other, trying to think a few moves ahead, planning which of your remaining pieces can slide in the ever-shrinking board. When no one can play any more pieces, you count up the remaining squares each player has left. The player with the lowest score wins. Fantastically simple and simply fantastic. Number 3, Yinch, or like Yinch, or Yinch. I want to say Yinch. Anyway, this game is from a series of games known as the GIPF project, spelt like GIPF or GIF or GIPFer. All these games have names like Devon, Linked, Tzar, Zer. It's like, give me a break, lads. You're lucky that pretty much all of these games are bloody beautiful and brilliant. They're all vaguely similar, these games in this project, with mottled pieces, mostly circles, mostly taking place on a board made up of a triangular lattice structure. Every game has a different central puzzle, and honestly, all of them are good. Like, being honest, half of the games in the GIF project could go on this list, but in the interest of not turning this into the GIF show, I'll only share the best of the best, which is Yinch. If you've ever played classic game Othello, there's similar DNA here. Each player starts with 5 rings on the board. A ring can move as many spaces in one direction as it wants, as long as it doesn't pass over another ring. When a ring moves, it leaves a marker of its own color behind. However, on the ring's journey, if it jumps over one or more markers, all of them have to be flipped over to their other side. If at any point you get 5 markers of your color in a row, you get to remove them and one of your rings from the board. First to remove 3 rings wins. It is a bunch of fun. I love the fact that the player who's in the lead has fewer rings then to play with. That's such a clever catch-up mechanism. Smart, pretty, rewarding, like pretty much all of the GIPF project. GIPF? Gemph. Number 2, Azul. Very popular game this, easy to understand why with a game this pretty. Look at these tiles. Don't eat them though. As we mentioned in our beautiful games list, there's a family of Azul games, and this started them all, while also winning a bunch of awards in the process. In Azul, which is Portuguese for Sagrada, you're trying to build a palace wall with these tiles. In order to place a tile in the grid you want to fill up, you first have to fill up this row with tiles all the same type. On your turn, you either take all the tiles of one color from a factory circle, depositing the rest in the middle common area, or take all the tiles of one color from that area in the middle. At the end of the round, you move a tile from a completed row over to your grid, which gives you points. So far, this all sounds fairly pleasant and chill, but Azul is a bastard. See, if you're forced to take too many tiles of one color, you're forced to put the surplus tiles down here where they'll cost you points, and it's super easy to figure out what tiles everybody needs. So Azul is pretty much entirely all about royally screwing over the other players, forcing them to take too many tiles, snatching away the last tile they really need, all while trying to place your tiles on your grid in ways that maximizes your points. Like me, it's fun, mean, and beautiful. And number 1, Tiny Towns. This game rules. On this list, we've seen a whole bunch of different games. Tetris games, tile laying games, games where you're trying to chain combos, cruel games. This is all of those wrapped up in one adorable package. In Tiny Towns, you have a bunch of houses you can build on your individual player map, which will give you points depending on where they sit in that map. Each building also has a layout of cubes you need to place in order to build that building. Put the cubes on your map in that order, whoop, you can remove all the cubes and place the building. So not only are you trying to think of building placement where the finished buildings will ping off each other really nicely to get you loads of points, but also every incomplete building is taking up loads of space and you run out of space fast. And that is where the cruelty comes in, because each go, a different player is deciding which one color cube everyone else has to put on their board. So they'll know exactly what cube you need to put down to make a building and free up space on your board, and they're not going to give it to you because they're wankers. Fantastic puzzle. Love this game to death. Love all of these games. What a time to be alive. And that's our list. What's your favorite abstract game? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and share this video around if you could on all the social medias. Do it. Do it, coward. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to No Rolls Barred. We got loads of lovely videos that you're really going to enjoy to help you get on board.